Come here, son of a gun. Hello again, everybody. Lance Russell and Dave Brown, and we're right along ringside, all ready to kick it off.
Hey, we're live from STS Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas for Was It Really That Good? My name's Brian Tramel.
And from P3 Radio, I'm Richard Mulligan, joined by my co-host, the man with the biggest gimmick in town and best friend, Josh Brawley. Say, hey, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? BT, how are you doing, my man?
Fantastic, guys. If you didn't join us last month, we did Continental Championship Wrestling. Go look in the archives and find that. I had P3 Radio join me. We do the AEW show every week up until the end of this year. But you guys joined me to take Gene's seat there because Gene is having all kinds of new he's got a new job and not really having time to do podcasts. So that shows you that we don't really have a life outside of our outside of this. We just want to do podcasts. But really busy with the move and all kinds of stuff. So hopefully we'll have Gene back in January. But guys, we're going to watch a Memphis Wrestling show. It was CWA at the time, and it was in June the 11th, 1988, around the same time that we did the Continental. All of it was going on at the same time. And I guess we'll just start with you, Richard. I want everyone to know we're going to do it in the roundtable format, just like we do in AEW. We got 5 questions. We go around and we answer them, and we talk about the show. A little bit different than the way me and Gene do it, but we figured this would go over since it is our format that we do it in. So let me start with Richard. Richard, best thing about the show to you?
Best thing about the show, first off, I wanted to say when you said that, not your spot, not dog spot, not liver spot, but Gene's spot is the one we're filling in for this week. But my favorite thing about this show, there was a few things. I loved seeing the Man Mountain Rock and Salvador Sincere team of Max Payne and Tom Brandy. I loved seeing Max Payne in wrestling tights. That was a change. But
you know what? When you said that, I'm sorry I interrupt you, but when you said that, I thought you watched the wrong show. I didn't know what the fuck you was talking about. Go ahead.
No, Max Payne was Man Mountain Rock in WWE.
Right.
And Tom Salvador Sincere. But the one thing that I did love about all of this was the videos, and especially the Kurt Hennig music video. Memphis was they were notorious for these videos that they would put out, and you would see them pop up if you watched other region, other territories television shows. Like we watched Continental last week. There was a Memphis video production music video of Austin Idol on the thing. Memphis was great about doing these music videos. So that right there, one of the best things about the show, it just brought me back to being a kid again. And the thing about Kurt Hennig and Lawler was just superb.
Right. Best thing on the show, Josh?
I got to go with the Covington Pike Toyota spot, baby. That thing looked like it was going to be a disaster when the car salesman was out there, at the front. But it was pretty interesting because it kind of would make you, if you were thinking about going to the Coliseum that Monday, if you knew there was a chance that if Lawler does lose, well, hell, he's losing the belt, but we get our money back. So that was pretty cool. And Kurt Hennig comes out there and he starts shitting on Toyotas, little shoebox cars. If I see you on the road, I'll run your ass over and all that. And then he snatches the car salesman up. And he immediately starts corpsing. So Hennig I'm assuming he's throwing him on the ground now that, you know how things work. I'm thinking he's throwing him on the ground to cover his face because he is just grinning ear to ear. And they did a good job by covering that up. But as soon as they got him up, Eddie Marlin came out there. He turns to the camera again, and he has the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. And Eddie Marlin or somebody tells him because he covers his face up immediately. But I thought that was hilarious. Then Hennig cuts one of my favorite promos that I've seen him cut, recently because I watch a lot of older stuff. But this one seemed like he was super fired up. He says, "I'm going to tear this whole place up if Lawler doesn't get out here right now." He even snatches Lance up, and Lance starts selling like he's choking. He's and Lawler comes out, and then he eventually gets kicked in the nuts. I love that whole spot. It was awesome.
Me too. Best thing about the show, Kurt Hennig. And I kind of forget how good Kurt really was. I loved him in the WWE, but the stuff they were doing here, this was also, that whole angle was my favorite. You're talking about the salesman. This was also after The other angle where Paulie and Ostinato promised that they would give the ticket price, give you the price of your ticket back to you if they didn't shave Lawler's head, and everyone thought that they were going to shave Lawler's head. We're not going to shave Lawler's head, so everyone showed up. And this was part of it. The salesman said, "Hey, if Lawler don't retain the belt, then we're going to give all the money back." And I'm cracking up. I'm thinking, if I was in the business at this time, I would just try to screw the Toyota man, have Kurt win the belt that night. But Kurt was freaking awesome. After watching that angle, I text Randy Hales because Randy Hales came out, and I said, was he supposed to beat up the car salesman guy? Because the car salesman guy just looked really weird in the whole spot. And yes, he was supposed to grab him and throw him down, and that didn't go very well. But the whole angle, him grabbing Lance, because you didn't see that a lot, so it meant something. Him grabbing Lance. Also, I really was a big fan, and this was like, Kurt was the best, but I was a huge fan of Fuller and the Stud Stable and him adding people every week and it just becoming this big heel group. I really liked that part of it. All right, Richard, what was the worst thing about the show?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. We did a review of this show from a different feed. Now, a lot of people don't know Louisville and Memphis had the same show, but they would do a different feed. So, like, Louisville would be a week back, and they would edit it. So you would have some of the same matches, but it would be a different show sometimes. And we did I think it was the Evansville. Was it Evansville?
Evansville had another feed
not
as
Louisville.
well.
Evansville had another feed. So we saw one of these shows without Kurt Hennig, and it was way worse. Like
this was the Evansville feed because they were promoting him going to be in Evansville. He was there for two shows. He was for the Monday night show and the Evansville Tuesday night show. So this was the week after or that week. Yeah, I know what you mean. They would go a whole week, like the titles would change hands, and then you would have to have them change hands again, kind of thing.
Well, the show we did review on, it never saw the light of day because it was just so dreadful that we just gave up. But, the things I didn't like about this show, there was 3 jobbers in the first 2 matches. The matches weren't that great, but I think the thing that got the most heat with me was this Shane Baxter kid. Should have been called Super Green. He went into business for himself, and he should have went into business for himself and took the deal that Robert Fuller gave him, because I don't know whatever happened to that kid. It would have been funny if he would have just said, "Robert Fuller, I appreciate it, and I'm going to join your group," because I tell you, this kid looked terrible, and he had on an 80s rocker wig. Other than that, hated Gary Young's white tights.
Gary
White's young tights. And the weird combination of Jeff Jarrett, Tojo Yamamoto, and a fucking ninja. I didn't get that at all. The ninja didn't throw a throwing star, and that got heat with me. So, but the worst thing about the show was the jobbers and the match layouts.
All right. What about you, Josh? What was the worst thing?
Well, I'm going to say, Richard, you really did hate him because you didn't even get his name right. You said Shane. His name was Sean Baxter. It was Shane?
It was Shane.
Is it Shane or Sean?
No, it's Sean. It was Sean Baxter.
Doesn't matter.
Well, either way.
No, not really.
I hate him as well. That's my least favorite thing. The Sean Baxter Blue Knight match, that as a whole was awful.
It
was absolutely awful. I know it was just a service to get Robert Fuller to come out there, and Robert Fuller was the best thing about this whole match. I loved the fact that Robert Fuller called a pretty little poo-poo. I had never heard that before, but he called him that.
Looks like Rod Stewart.
Yeah, he just kept saying, he looked like Rod Stewart, and he had on
He even
belt.
said Sylvia liked him. Sylvia liked his look. She thought he looked good. Yeah.
Not my type of woman at all. But that was my least favorite thing. Was I liked his hair because it reminded me of Axl Rose and Welcome to the Jungle video. And I get the gimmick. That was pretty hot back in the day, and he probably got a lot of ass from the Rats back then. But he looked like a kid. He didn't have any – there was no mask to him at all. It was like, somebody's son or something up there in some tights.
It was somebody's son up there.
Well, I know, but not of age.
Somebody's son not of age. He did look really young, and all I could think of when he came out was Brandon Baxter, who had a similar haircut, even though, and I was laughing. I was like, "There's Brandon's brother. He came in before Brandon did."
Hey, no lie, the first time I saw this show, I was sitting there going, "Did Brandon have another gimmick?" And then I was like, "No, that ain't him. That ain't him."
I sent Randy a note. I said, Kurt was so good. Then I said, Sean Baxter was on the show, and I don't remember him. I did not remember him. He said a small blonde kid. I forgot where he came from. Good guy. Don't know whatever happened to him. So there you go. Randy's giving him, putting him over and saying he was a good guy. And I guess he was, making the. But you guys were right. Robert Fuller made the angle, made it seem like he was somebody. And did y'all notice that when he did come out and Brick sold everything for him? Brickhouse did not get anything over on that kid, so they were trying their best to get him over. And like you said, he probably got all kinds of crazy tail back then. So worst thing about the show for me was Jerry Lawler's beard and hair. I hate that beard that he's trying to grow, and he eventually grows it, and his hair looked, I don't know, I guess it was the 80s, but right now his hair just looks so weird to me. I was like, I don't remember, Jerry Lawler's hair looking like that, but that's pretty much the way his hair's been all for his whole life. But I just always hated the beard. I always thought it looked stupid. I always liked the hair on the chin, and that was it. That was the worst thing for me, was the beard. Sylvia, by the way, I always make jokes about Robert Fuller here when Lance is, but y'all know Robert Fuller was called the Tennessee Stud for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I done got it stuck up in there.
She was wearing something that she might as well have been naked there, because you could see everything that she had. I was just like, really? They had her out there with that on, but she was horrible too at ringside, just horrible. But she was married to Robert, and I think they're still married. I'm not sure, but I think they are. All right, so let's take a quick commercial, and we'll be right back. All right, back from commercial, we do thank our sponsors. All right, let's go to the MVP. What you think there, Richard?
Without a shadow of a doubt, it was Kurt Hennig. He, like I said before, we had a different feed of the show without him in it, and it was just atrocious. And to be honest, he really won me over when he tore down that ugly mustard yellow Rubik's Cube.
Love that. Love it.
Tore the thing, the picture, that horrible looking picture. I hated that as a kid, and the Rubik's Cube thing that looked like Match Game 76. I thought it was funny that the bell did no actual damage to that heavy ass desk. But him and his whole angle there where he came out and he yelled, I even had my wife laughing, telling her about him grabbing Lance and telling Lance that he was going to turn that nose sideways, and him counting to 10 and him going 1, and Lance going, now wait a minute, now Kurt 2, now come on, I will sue you for everything. And then when he got to 3, Lance got scared. He's like, hey, now come on. So it was awesome to see that. Like I said, MVP of the whole show was Kurt Hennig. He made the whole thing watchable.
All right, what do you think, Josh?
Well, I've got to ring that too, man. Kurt Hennig. It's almost like it felt like a half shoot, because, like Richard was talking about earlier, I tried to watch it from a perspective of a child who was believing in the shit, and it seemed like it was so real because, honestly, you're not supposed to touch the Covington Pike guy. He's a car salesman, and Kurt's
right. Yeah, I know. That's why. You think about me. I'm sitting here watching it, and I've done everything in the business that there is to do, and I'm texting Randy Hale saying, was he supposed to do that? Suspension of belief was gone. I was like, man, he wasn't supposed to touch him. Kurt wasn't supposed to touch Lance, blah, blah, blah,
And that's the thing that really got me to believe in it, because whenever Lance started selling like he was being choked, I'm thinking, oh my God, what if Lawler doesn't come out? Is he going to kill Lance? And Lawler came out and saved the day, took the nut. Memphis was hard on Jerry Lawler's nuts. He got the big posting with Idol and Idol and Rich. That's the first major angle I remember, was Lawler getting his nuts plowed in.
Right. Huge, yeah.
Henning gets Robert Fuller and Gary Young to hold him so he can nutshot him one more time. It was so believable. Henning was on fire this show.
Wondering who I would choose as the MVP. I guess you guys already know. It's going to be Kurt Hennig. Kurt was just, like we said, just tremendous. It was the best thing on the show for me. The thing with Lance, and you all talked about what Lance was saying, you did, Richard, was that Lance was the best at this. If you watch the show, especially some of the shows where they bring out the younger guys, he actually was doing the interview for them, and they didn't even know it. You know, he would go, so on Monday night, you're gonna beat up Brickhouse Brown. And they go, yeah, Monday night I'm gonna beat up Brickhouse Brown. But this was what he got over. He was doing the same thing with the car salesman guy. He was just walking him through the interview. So that was just awesome for me. Henning, man, he was so good. I loved him in WWE, and he was so good here. And the thought that the money, I've got the history and the results of the show, but they actually didn't have the draw. So I don't know how much money or anything that was there. But he pinned Henning. He beat him by DQ the week before, then he pinned Henning, and they did it in Evansville, the same thing. So, and you talked about, there's something else that MVP was Lance Russell, as I was mentioning Lance Russell, but Lance cracked me up because he actually had a spoiler. Did y'all catch that?
No, I didn't catch that.
He said later on in the show, Downtown Bruno comes out. And I was like, no, you're not supposed to show that. You're not supposed to say anything. And did y'all catch the name of one of the towns? I love this.
French Lick, baby.
French Lick, Indiana. Population 1,781.
Well, because they're only French licking each other.
There you go. French Lick, Indiana. All right. So the next question there to you, Richard, is what would you want to see after this show?
I would want to see more Kurt Hennig, less Shane Baxter, whatever his name was. I want to see more meaningful matches too, because I remember there was a time in Memphis that you had, not exactly like you had like big name versus big name, but you did have some big matches on TV. And once again, I'd like to see less. I know they did this for a reason, but it seems to be a theme. Like if there's a manager on a show, they're going to bring them out there 32 times in a 2-hour show. So you get kind of sick of seeing Robert Fuller. You get kind of sick of seeing Boss Winners, Downtown Bruno. You get kind of sick of them because they're out there every segment. So hopefully less of that. And if I was booking it, I would say more Kurt Hennig, because he pretty much made that entire show watchable, and he made it great. So more Kurt Hennig, more big angles, more matches that mean something, and less of what we've got on that show.
So what do you look forward to after this show?
Well, I would definitely want to see the results of the Hennig-Lawler match the next week. I think I'm going to go and honestly watch the next show just because I want to relive it. It was so exciting. But I absolutely love watching these old shows because of the music videos, the promo videos. It really got the talent over with me, and that's something that I always look forward to, was the video specials. And the only thing that I really didn't like about the two that they had one promoting Kurt, showed him kicking Lawler's ass and everything, but it was like the same series of 3 moves. And it was really shitty, in my opinion, the way that the Kurt video was put together. And then I think it was like Michael Bay directed the Lawler video. He was super over. Kurt was flipping and flopping, and they just showed him punching Lawler pretty much.
It's kind of like how we said to each other during that AEW show when Cody Rhodes came out a couple months back, when we were like, hey, can you tell who runs the company?
But I absolutely love those videos, man. That's the one thing I would always look forward to on any Memphis show, to be honest with you.
Right. Videos, the videos got over the Fabs. It got over a lot of the teams, and they would all, even Kamala, remember that video? All kinds of stuff. What would I want to see after the show? I would be thinking, did Lawler win? What happened after all this? I'm with you guys. I want to see where they went with this. Are they going to come back and brag about Lawler winning, which he won by pinfall, and where they go there? You talking about who's booking and whose promotion it is. During this time, I talked to Randy. Jerry Jarrett was actually booking all the stuff. It had a lot of Robert Fuller feel to it, so I had to ask. Jerry Jarrett was booking this. And Randy and Jeff was very young, but Randy and Jeff were actually in the office. So those two guys were the ones helping call the spots with everybody. And Jeff and Robert were really close, so that might be why it feels like Robert. And as always, the King was writing his own stuff and doing his own stuff. So him and Henning had probably went through all that and to get that over. And Lawler only did one little small interview and a little piece of him coming out there, you know. So, I mean, I wanted to see the match. I wanted to make sure that, and I knew even back then that Lawler was going to win because they were never going to give people's money back. So, all right, guys, let's answer it. So, Richard, was it really that good?
All right, so the eyes are on me right now because I'm the odd man out. Now, when I think of Memphis Wrestling, I think about watching it as a 5-year-old, watching Jeff Jarrett take a leather strap on TV and hit Robert Fuller in the butt and watching him jump up on the big Red Man tobacco logo in the middle of the apron. I remember meaningful matches. I remember all kinds of great things. But this show, looking at it through the eyes of a scared child picked up by Willie B. Hurt, I had to
He's
look
still
back
using
on it.
that, Josh. He's still using that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a scared child. It's somewhere today. There's an adult man sitting on a couch talking about being picked up by Willie B. Hurt awkwardly and being licked by a bushwhacker. Anyways, the point of the matter is, when I look back on this show, it's like when you watch a football team just tank it, and then they put in their first-round draft pick at quarterback in garbage time, and he throws 2 Hail Mary touchdowns. They don't win the game, but, there's some promise there. So when I look at this show, overall, it was a blowout loss, but Kurt Hennig came in and threw 2 Hail Mary touchdowns that made it awesome, but not good. So in my opinion, it wasn't that good.
All right. What did you think there, Josh?
I honestly thought yes. Yes, indeed, it was that good. Because just like in a movie or anything, there's high points, there's low points, there's stuff that fills it in that, maybe a jobber match here or
Maybe
there.
Robert Fuller fills it in.
Maybe Robert Fuller fills it in. He does indeed probably fill it in. But, yeah, that's what you're going to get with anything. And the stuff that did matter and the stuff that is really good when it's super good, like everything Kurt Hennig during this show was absolutely awesome. Even he saved the day with the car salesman guy, protecting the business and all that for the guys smiling ear to ear. And, yes, I absolutely loved it. It was that good.
I gotta agree. I liked it. This is what Memphis Wrestling was, and what I remember it for. You said this was the Evansville show, so we didn't have all the Memphis. It was an hour show. It got 45 minutes of action, and they were building for the Evansville show. It was a perfect example to me because a big angle on the show, squash matches, and the build for the house show. Perfect Memphis Wrestling, and it was fun from start to finish. It was also fun. Thank you, Randy. I texted Randy during this, kind of getting the behind the scenes. It was kind of fun to figure out what was going on. And Kurt Hennig was just fantastic. Another reason, and I didn't mention this, why I want to watch the show after this and start following some of the stuff. I want to know if Downtown Bruno, how long he actually wore that jumpsuit. So that white jumpsuit. So I don't even remember. That was horrible. That was like a Bill Dundee jumpsuit. So it was just horrible. All right, guys. Same bad time, same bad channel. On the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Be there. And as everyone knows, I love my mama. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.